Check, baby, check, baby, check. 1, 2. Good morning, everybody. Just getting started here. Getting started a little later start today. Oh, been waiting for Pedro to come on, but we're gonna get going anyway. Get some light in here. DeFi, dude. They're saying mean things about my coin. Crypto unicorns. BTC dumpity dump. All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show we call DYOR Live. Like it says here on the masthead right there. What does it say up on this screen above me? 67,000. The dump-a-thon for Bitcoin continues. When going from a low of 72 or something yesterday, dropping down all the way to 66 and some change, 66.8, something like that on the whatever this thing monitors. And frankly, I think the pain is not over with. It's not over with at all. I think I hear Pedro Garcia, but I don't see him. He's here somewhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get Pedro here on in a minute. There's no really other stories today. For those of you that have been watching this show for a while, what have Pedro and I been telling you? Telling you not to invest in crypto right now. In fact, hold your positions for the long haul in DCA, or if you're a trader, sell your position, get out. Because it was going down. Well, in fact, we had a guest yesterday that came on and said, hey, there's a new viewer, I'm looking to get into the market and get back into the market. And I just said, just hold off. Not now, bad time right now. If you're a buy and hold guy, there's gonna be better pricing. And sure enough, this morning, Bitcoin just unloaded itself. And so yeah, there we go. I can't turn the timer off for some reason. Just not responding to my... Oh wait, there's Pedro. Well, hold on, I want to make your mic on there, Pedro. Pedro Damas, you with us today?
Yes, sir, I am. I got to leave in about 2 minutes because I got to go make sure that my tea doesn't boil over. But apart from that, I realized today, this week, I realized that I did not get my ginger tea. I normally do it every morning, but for whatever reason, I just have been out of the habit of doing my ginger tea. And all of a sudden, I have this like sniffle, and I'm like, why do I have a sniffle? This is so weird. Like, I never have this. And then I thought to myself, I was like, what did I... And then I was like, dude, I stopped doing my tea. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm stuffed up. I'm never sniffle. I never have any of that. And it's because I do ginger tea every morning. Do it with...
well, go get your tea and come back and talk about Bitcoin.
Alrighty. But just long story short, you can check out Scott Bessent's statement. Unlike the Federal Reserve, I can't print magic money. That was really interesting. And then also the other thing is the initial jobless claims. We actually had a lot of stuff. You can go over there. So you can talk about those real quick, and then I'll be back.
Oh yes, Pedro, Mr. On Time, we call him. No, we don't. No, we don't. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the chart behind me, Bitcoin here. And as you can see, that's a minute chart. As we can see, dump-a-thon here. The chart just unloaded today. We had a big, it wasn't like this wasn't called for it. If you're a pattern trader, big head and shoulders pattern right here. Boom, came right down off the head and shoulders. This is the 15-minute chart. If you're looking for liquidity levels, like Pedro does, there was lots of liquidity down here. In fact, he said yesterday, we're gonna blow through where we are now, and it's likely going to go all the way down to 57, I think Pedro said. I'll have to ask him when he comes back to talk about that. Let's switch the music up here. Back to the yeah. Didn't start. There we go. But as you can see with the chart here, let's just bring the chart up big. Did it not change? It did not. My system running really slow again. Got that Microsoft PC Manager directly from Microsoft. It's a free add-on, and it does help. You hit the release extra memory. Nothing is working here today with the system. Just nothing. Of course, it's going to put this station. Didn't select it. Just some frozen guy. Sorry, Mike. Mike is frozen. Now my system's frozen. What a lovely day to start here. Video's still going. The hell? CPU's only running at 50% too. This program won't do anything I want. Let's just put us on. I can't get off this screen. Just won't do it. Nope, not happening. Let's just switch to an easy one for it to load. Oh, now it does. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. System's running. It's about the slowest I've ever seen it run. Oh, and then the sound just magically appears. This is driving me crazy. Been a good morning so far. Here, all right. Here's Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. 66,000 we're trading at right now. Coming back down. But as I was saying earlier, before my system decided to go away, big head and shoulders pattern there. If you're a pattern trader, that's what you look for. Boom, big middle head, right shoulder here, and then boom, it dropped fell right off of it. Pretty much very predictable there. Now, you know what else was predictable? Is Pedro coming on the air and saying, hey, I was right. Or we're telling him he's right. Right? Yeah, we all knew it was coming down. If you're someone that watches this show, you should not be surprised. In fact, I told people to stay out of the market if you're a buy and holder. If you're a day trader, hey, great time to sell, make some monies. But other than that, if the market was going to be correcting. And it doesn't look good underneath this either. I mean, the next levels are 57,000 down there and then 40 something. And it could get there very easily. DeFi Dude in the house, thank you very much for watching. They're saying mean things about my coin. They are. Hey, I see Spain is now wanting to pretend they're the UK and pass legislation so that everybody has to register their proper names for social media to get age verified. This is how they're doing it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they're doing it. We resisted having to get digital IDs, which worked. We resisted all of that. But we said we want the ability to be anonymous on the internet. We want to keep that. We don't want the governments to be able to track everything like they do in China. We don't want them to be able to manage what you speak and what you say, which they do in China. And now Spain is going to be added to the list of that. The government there is wanting to push a new law that says there has to be age verification to keep 16-year-olds, 16 and under, or under 16, I don't know what it is, from using social media. So if you're not 16 years old, you can't use social media at all. So it means every website that you go to has to have an age verification. So do you really think that say you visit 100 or 200 websites a day if you're busy on the internet, like someone like me, you're going to age verify 100 or 200 times, or are you just going to throw in the towel and say, that's it, I'm just going to get a digital ID? And then everywhere you go on the internet, behind the scenes, it says, this is Tom Herlihy striking balls. And he looked at all these websites today, and the government has the ability to go and say, no, he can't see that. No, he can't see that. Nope. That's against our policies. We don't want them to see that. Does anybody want that? Why do politicians do this? I just saw this story come up here a while ago. So, DeFi dude, I thought about you. Why does the government think that everything has to be for the kids? It's because they don't. That's not the case at all. What they're trying to do is get the ability to completely manage the internet so that there's no free speech. Ditch Greenland, and send some troops over here. We have sunshine. Yeah, I'm guessing you have a parliamentary system in Spain where a minority of people, like Canada, a minority of people get to vote the leader. Like in Canada, everyone says, our hugely popular Prime Minister Mark Carney, only 40% of the nation voted for him. That's like, imagine if Trump won with only 40% of the vote. The whole country would look like riots. All the blue states would look like Minneapolis. Here in Canada, it's like, I have a mandate. I'm guessing it's the same in Spain. So you get knuckleheads. Look at this, Bitcoin going back down. Pushing 66.7. The dump-a-thon continues here. Ditto, he says. They have it. I'll really never understand these systems. And everyone's like, the British system of parliamentary, blah, 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 blah. It's crap. It's crap. A minority group gets to control the government. And sometimes with no checks and balances, they can do whatever they want. As I'm waiting for Pedro here, he said he had to go get his tea, which I'm willing to bet means he is using the restroom. He just got the comment from the gallery here. Mrs. Striking's like, ew. Well, let's take a quick look at I still got the 70K incoming. Let's get rid of that. System mill, no worko. It's weird, the behind the scenes stuff does like that, where it goes and gets the comments and all that, but my user interface just comes to a halt. Comes to a halt. Anyway, let's just, we'll assume Pedro's going to be a while here. Starting about 2 in the afternoon yesterday. I mean, let me go back even further. 1 in the afternoon yesterday. We were holding at 76,000. When we started the show yesterday at, I'm sorry, that was 2 days ago on the 3rd. When we started the show yesterday, we were at 72,000 or 73,000, something like that. And during the show, it had a little bit of a rally. People got happy. They're like, ooh, okay, maybe that was the bottom. I'm going to get in the market. Like I said, one of our viewers was looking at getting in the market. I said, whoop, hold on. And sure enough, it just started spinning down the rest of the day. By midnight last night, we were down to 69,000. little bit coming back up, and then it just started overnight. But really what happened is this morning when the markets opened, for some reason, they're waiting for the markets to the main markets to open. I mean, the futures markets are already open. The spot markets are all open for Bitcoin. But for some reason, they wait till 9:30 because nothing actually happens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time for Bitcoin. There's no actual open or close or anything. Yet, boop. Boop, and we saw within a half hour it go from 70,000 down to 66,000. A little bit of a climb back. People thought, oh, maybe this is the bottom. It's not. It's not the bottom. It's not the bottom. Let's see. What levels do I have identified here? I've got a $62,000 level. Why do I have a $62,000 level? Let's go to the daily chart and find out. I have 62 identified because that's a level here, and we're going to find another one. I bet. Let's look around here. Tell you what, my skills just in the past few days of working TradingView have gotten so much better. So there's light levels at well, we blew through 69. That's toast. This 66, no, that's the price. So there's a level at 64, a minor level at 62, and another pretty good one at 57. Then these are all small ones, not big ones, but really it's down here in the 40s. It's not good. We need some buyers, and there's no buyers right now. Geez, look at that. That's the daily chart there. Not good at all.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's look at the weekly chart here.
Look at that, baby.
Yeah, Mr. Garcia is back. Let me make sure I got your mic on there, sir. I do. Your mic's on. I don't have a picture from you though.
All right. Yeah. I'm probably gonna go, not necessarily. You guys don't want to see me going picture. Well, you know what? Last time I said
that's
and you
part
guys
of
were
it.
like,
Yeah.
You look great. You look phenomenal.
No, that's part of it. That's part of it.
I was in the morning session with Chris, and we were going over a bunch of stuff, and I was walking through another strategy that was kind of walking out, and we were just kind of hanging out talking. He'll do morning sessions with us just to hang out and to see how we're doing. And he just likes to check on us, see what's going on. And he ended up, it just was a long session. And then I talked to one of the other students who is he's a good trader. You know, his ratio today was about, I think he said 70 or 80% trading ratio win out of 11 trades. And that's yeah. And so I was like, bro, you're killing it. And then before you know it, I look down and I'm like, shoot, it's like 12:15. It was like 12:15. I was like, oh crap. So I was like,
we always count on you being on time, Pedro. So
yeah, listen, I'm definitely a Mexican minute, that's for sure.
All right, Pedro's screen will be on here in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. But as you can see here, this is just this is the weekly chart. Like I said when I had the daily chart up earlier, it's very similar. For you pattern traders, big head and shoulders, big, just screaming at everybody. Boop boop boop, dump. Just it couldn't be more predictable for that. And also for you liquidity level traders, for weeks. Months. We've been saying this area. See over on the other side of that head and shoulders, all the stuff over there. There's Pedro. You look just the same as you did yesterday.
I did.
Although turn your phone. I've only been doing this 3 years. All right, we'll wait on that then.
What's wrong?
Are you? I thought you were messing with your phone.
Yeah. A second. Let me see.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro's distracted by something. I don't know. I can see him down here in the studio monitor. He must have a naked woman standing outside his window or something. Or Shaniqua from down the street is walking around in her just in her towel out of the shower looking for a dog or something.
What are you talking about, dog? You were going so far. I would never, ever play like that. You know that. I am a bit
Just
of a
trying to keep all these people entertained while I wait for you there, Pedro.
Are you not entertained?
Nope. I think they say they are not.
You're not.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching us today. I'm not sure what's going on in Pedro land there. There he is. He seems to be coming back here now. We got a late start today, and then my computer's operating at snail speed today for some reason. And
Sorry,
Pedro is with us.
All right. So
But if in case you haven't noticed, everybody, the market is imploding here today in the Bitcoin land.
It is not imploding. We've been talking about this. It is not imploding. We've been talking about
I would say if you are the regular viewer of this show, no. But if you are, if we get Jesus on the show today, he's gonna be complaining because
he hasn't been watching us lately.
And he has he has got a big positions in a lot of the alts, which alts took a beating today too. Ethereum under $2,000.
Everything fell.
XRP is free now. They're just giving it away. There you go. BNB actually didn't do so bad. They're down. Well, I guess no. I take that back. Bitcoin's down 7.3% today. BNB down 7.9. ETH only down 6.45. XRP down 16%. XRP leading the market and tanking today.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that $1 mark. Anything below the $1 mark is what I'm looking at, right? Like, I just like XRP. Like I said, I wasn't gonna buy anything in the $2. I there was a couple areas that I thought about it, but it just didn't give me enough demand wicks. I was like, nope, it's gonna be coming down here. XRP is one of those interesting ones because when I look at it, you know, from a technical standpoint, it's a free fall all the way down to that $1. 105 to $1. And so for me, I'm looking at it going like, all right, come on down here so I can start picking up. Anything below $1 to me is a buy for XRP, because this big huge buyer who bought it at $1, who let it free fall all the way down to $1 and then bought it back and then rallied it from $1 all the way to 250. 260 here, and then you can see them kind of offloading. But the biggest thing is I believe they're letting it come down to these lower areas for XRP. That's that 106 to that $1 area. They're going to defend this area most likely. And so the fact that it's selling off so hard like this, it screams to me that they are selling it off to push it back up. So for myself, it's funny, in my trading crew today, a majority of them are not crypto people. And so I started laughing because I'm like, bro, like, you know, they started laughing at me because they're like, bro, they say it ain't. I was like, listen, I don't believe in fiat. I believe in sound money. Like, finally, you come over to our side. And I go, no, I don't believe in fiat. You're over in Canada. Like, you know, so like they were making fun of me because, you know, they're TradFi junkies. But I put it like this, you know, anything below here, that $1, we've got a couple areas here, $1, 89 area here is another thing. That line in the sand, I think for me, is looking at that 74, 68 cent area. That's really where I'm like, okay, if it goes below this, all right, it's coming back down to that lows of 40s and 30s. But that's where I think, and the reason why is this is where the previous breakout came in, right? Like you saw it try to push up, boom, it blew through all of this right here, and we saw it push up. So personally, I'm like I say, anything below $1 to like 70, 60 cent areas, like this is where I'm looking at dollar cost average, and then from there, looking at XRP to, you know, see it kind of pick up and go north. But How far were they? How far will institutions let it drop? Remember, XRP, Solana, many of these. It's important. Remember, I talked about, and this is why I said I expect these things to come down, because the CME got into XRP, the CME got into Solana, the CME got into what else are they're coming out with? There's a few other ones. Not DOT. There's a few other futures that they're trading. And so remember, with the CME futures, one thing about them is that you can actually get the coin. So they actually have to go through, push this market down so they can buy at extremely low prices, right? So when they sell or give their actual tokens, they're not tokens, but coins, to individuals who are looking to receive those as actual cash payment, they'll have it. And so all institutions, or anybody who really deals with institutions, know they don't buy at high levels. They're not going to. They'll buy a little bit, they'll accumulate so they can sell off, so they can control the market. This is what we're seeing in XRP, Solana, a lot of the top tier tokens. And so that's why I said, let's look at the smaller coins, because those coins aren't really having huge sell-offs. Like when you look at Crow, you look at a lot of these other ones, XLM, you're just not seeing huge drops, right? Compared to BTC. So it's just these little things that I'm watching right now going, comparative to BTC, everything else is not as bad. I'm not saying that it's not a huge sell-off, but like, look, are we seeing extended on Crow? No. The ones that we talked about yesterday, right? Boom. Are we seeing a deep extended like we saw on the top 10? No. They're selling up below the lows, but not really. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying that these top tier coins, I was expecting them to come down because the institutions got involved there. And now that they actually have these tokens being traded for futures, right, on the CME and many other exchanges, you best believe that they're going to need to give, and they're not going to go into the spot market when it's expensive. They're going to go into the spot market when it's cheap. So they're buying actual real tokens here. And so as it's coming down and everybody's freaking out, you're all selling them their tokens that they need. And then when they get to the price point, they're going to consolidate it, purchase more, and then see it push up. And then they can actually, as people want more tokens, they're receiving a better price, right? So it's important to understand what the environment that we're sitting in right now. And so that's why I was like, they're not going to buy. There's just no way they're not going to buy this stuff. Remember, whenever you're selling your position, they're buying it.
Right. You're not selling into a void. You're selling into buyers.
Yes, you're selling into buyers. And it's important to understand that. And who's buying? Who's buying?
People with lots of money.
People with lots of money. Exactly. So just
you know what? And in fact, I read an article, a post, or listened to a blog, whatever it was, how I consumed it, I can't remember. But it said during this pull down in BTC pricing, and I think it was after yesterday's show. The article talked about that, basic wallet analysis that people do is that whales were buying and retail was selling, capitulating, and yeah, shocking. Who knew? They took all their exit liquidity at 126, at 120, at 90, at 80. Now they're taking it at 74, then 72. Now they're taking it at 66, $67,000, $63. Who knew? Who knew that was possible? Who knew that was going to happen? We all did.
We talked about it quite often. I said, but the biggest key here is that I'm looking at this as a opportunity for myself to be purchasing. I'm looking at this as a great, it's on sale. Again, I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm not spending a ton of money, right? I want to see big demand wicks come in though, right? Like that's really what I'm looking for, especially when it comes to a lot of these top tier ones, right? I want to see major demand wicks. So like I'm buying, but I'm not buying large amounts, right? Because I'm dollar cost averaging. What I would expect is once we hit major lows, like the low of the low, like let's say they take it below, like DOT, they take it below the 97 cent area here, right, for DOT. I want to buy DOT, like I'm looking to buy big portions of DOT below sub dollar, right? All of a sudden that makes it, just puts my dollar cost average at a banging position. When it comes to AVAX, right? AVAX is coming down to the lows here, right? It's not a huge deep sell-off for AVAX. It's at $8. It literally went from $10 to $8, right? $2. It's 20%. Whereas, crypto right now, I mean, we just saw, what was it? BTC go from $90. Actually, let's check it out. BTC went from 70 all the way to 66, right? It's 10 points, or that's 10,000. 10,000 on a mark of 7. So what was that?
They're down 7%.
Well, from the high? No, it's more than that.
Oh, I thought you meant today. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm talking today. From the high of where it sat up to, what was that? 73, 66 is the low. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's 6. Yeah, 10%. I was looking up here. Sorry, that was the 74, 75. So yeah, that's about right. 10%. So I guess that is equal then to it for BTC. 10%. All right, fair enough. But I mean, AVAX is a top 10, top 20 coin, so that makes sense. But again, I'm not too worried. Like that. They always say, it's dead, no longer works, and then you accumulate. They go sideways, and then the institutions know that they have us who freak out, and we believe in crypto, and so they're not going to let it die because it's a way for them to make money. The CME doesn't just put up a actually, let me phrase this. The CME set up where you can actually bet on local, and then I thought this was really interesting, local weather. You can literally go through and trade on it. Temperature. Yeah, water rights. That's a real thing. So it's really interesting that they do trade this, or they do, but I just don't see them. They're putting all this money into it. I just don't see it going away.
Well, I think Nevada has a good case here. They've notified Coinbase? No. Who is it they just told that they can't sports bet in, not Polymarket, but an American registered thing. Maybe it was Coinbase. Saying you can't have sports betting in Nevada without a license. You got to come and apply to Nevada, have a local presence, have, meet all the state requirements. And they said no, we're, approved, prediction markets are now a federal thing approved by the SEC. And Nevada came right out and said, no, that's not the case at all. That's not true. And they also said, we don't care what the federal law is. They said, we've had state gaming laws for a long time, managing sports betting. And they came out and said, stop calling it predictive markets. We're going to start calling our sports betting predictive sports winnings. You're trying to predict the winner. And so Nevada just came out and said, no, we don't care what the federal legislation says because we don't believe it's constitutional for the federal government just to determine that via the Securities Exchange Commission that it can exempt state laws for gambling. And I agree with that. I agree with that. I think if there's going to be a federal law, it has to be a proper federal law that's passed by Congress that says all sports betting is now the purview of the federal government and not the state governments. And they'd have to find some interstate commerce clause subchapter to enforce that. But now they're just basically, everyone just wanted to acquiesce to Mr. Trump that anything crypto related is good. But Nevada's like, nope, let's hold it up. This isn't right. You got to come apply for a gaming license. And there's gambling is legal now in I think all the states, maybe 49 of the states. So these companies want to resist this because they don't want to have to go be compliant with 49 different states. which is enormously expensive. I mean, gaming licenses in Nevada are not cheap, and the compliance costs are expensive. And all the political donations you have to do. Suddenly you have to start donating. Instead of donating to the federal presidential campaign, you got to donate to, like 200 or 300 elected officials across the country. And it's a pain in the ass. Anyway, Pedro, quickly here. For those of you watching on your big screen TV, many people that watch on their big screen TV do not do so with an account here on Rumble. And I know it's difficult to do all this on your TV because the Rumble app comes built into a lot of TVs. It's real hard to do it. And so people don't have an account. But that's why I have this QR code over here, ladies and gentlemen. Over there next to Pedro is a QR code on the screen. Just hold your cell phone up to it and pop that QR code. Join Rumble. And then on your phone, you can hit like and you can comment and all that. And then once you do that, then you can authorize the app on your TV to be logged in. You don't have to enter your password or anything like that. They just, on your TV, puts up a QR code and you go boop, and suddenly it's you. And then from your TV, you can sit on the couch and use your remote and say, boop, we like what Pedro is saying. Hit the thumbs up there button. Hey, you know what? I might as well put that up right now. Nope, that's not where it is. Nope. All right, that disappeared. But anyway, that makes it easy for you guys to watch on your big screen TVs. And on the bottom there, it says if you want to use your Google or Apple or Facebook login, don't click create new account. Click sign in, and it'll take you to where the Google and Facebook stuff is, so you can just hit the button and log in that way. Really help us out because we live and die based on word of mouth and being part of the Rumble ecosystem here. We are trying to get the word out and network amongst other creators. Pedro, as you know, I've been sending Tether Gold to other creators to get them to acknowledge us, talk to us, get some more follows. That's working pretty well. What happens when I do that, I pop it on using the Rumble wallet, and it shows up in their fan thing, in the chat thing and all that. It says, boom, Tether Gold, donation by DYOR Media. Generally creates a big deal. Today I do that. I finally get time to watch Randy's show, and she broadcasts on Rumble, and I started into the chat a little bit with her. She has a pretty good fan base here on Rumble, and so I said I'm going to do that. So I sent some Tether Gold, and it didn't show up in the chat, and it didn't even let her know who it was. It just made a sound on her phone or something like that. And then, so sure enough, I sent a thing to Rumble, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we're having trouble with notifications today." I'm like, "Oh, I want my $5 back." I think you're on mute.
$2. $2.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't downloaded the Rumble wallet, please do so. There's a tip button down there. You don't have to tip me to download the wallet, but that will lead you to downloading the wallet. Anyway, that was the thing. I am gonna go refill my my coffee here, Pedro, or my tea. Let's see. Hold on. Let's comment here. Whales always win. And Crypto Unicorn says, although some guy had $100 million BTC buy at 74,000. Oops. I don't know who that was. Crypto Lifer mentioned it on his show. Who apparently the Crypto Lifer knows him and went to go find him on Twitter or on X, but I didn't take the time to do so.
That's just sad. Man, that hurts so bad. $100 million. It is. The thing is, it's like, so whales, they know they can move a market. Like they absolutely know, right? So they know they can come in. But in this environment, when institutions are really involved, right? Like you can see here, like you did a good job. You did move the market, but it didn't. Like they just absorbed that. They just, all that is just an absorption. Boop. and then they just take it down. You just were just fodder. So you want to wait until you start to see some real demand wicks coming in, right? Like you can see like on the 5, 10, 15 or 5, 15, 30 minute, like they're at these levels. You didn't really see big demand wicks, right? Like you just saw one big movement, but there's no demand wicks. Even on the 5 minute, we see it going up, and we see nothing but supply wicks as it's moving up. Consolidates, no wicks at all. Then we start to come down. As we coming down, they're absorbing these areas. And you can see here, they're absorbing. And as they're coming down, you can see, boom, liquidity area. They take this liquidity right here, right? Boom. Are we seeing major demand wicks? No. I'm like, we're seeing small. Like, I want to see something like this. Boom. But extend. Like, boom. Boom. You see the body portion up here. This comes down. It looks like this, right? We see big demand wicks. Well, notice that, right? Like how we were watching, like how we started looking at Aster, right? When it was hitting those lows, I said, okay, this is what I'm kind of looking at. That's what I want to see, right? But I said, I want to see the retest of that and see again, are they absorbing or are they establishing real orders there? And so I said, no, they're absorbing. They're not establishing real orders there. So because of that, I was like, yep, they're not going to continue this up. So that's what I'm looking for, right? This is okay. This is fairly good. Let me look at the 15 minute on this. I was hoping it'd be bigger. I was hoping it would extend down here. They're absorbing here. They're not establishing real orders. See, boom. They're absorbing here. So you knew that this was going to continue down, right? They're really not going in and trying to, put in. And I want to see if it comes down and it takes orders here. We see it take orders or stops liquidity, and then we don't see it finish green. That's another sign. Nope, they're not going to continue it up. They're just taking orders. They're absorbing orders to continue this thing down. So, that's what I want to see. That's exactly what I want to see on the 1 hour, on the 1 hour, 2 hour.
You want to see that so it continues down?
No, continue. So, because if I want to go long, I want to buy, right? So I'm not going to be looking in. There's a difference between when I think institutions are looking to buy and they're going to continue something up, they'll stay in a position and put in big demand wicks. If you look at Shiba Inu, before Shiba Inu exploded to like where it did 15-20x, right? You could see they stopped everybody else out. Boom, the big, and this was 5 years ago. They literally went through, they put in a big giant wick and that demand wick, and then they kept putting in demand wicks on the 5, 10, 15, and then it progressed to the 2 hours, then it progressed to the 4 hour, and they kept bringing it down and pushing it back up, bringing it down, pushing it back up, bringing it down, and then pushing it back up. And when it was pushing back, they were closing green. And so for me, that is me showing that their bias is to go long on those positions. And so those are algorithms that are being designed to say, hey, continue this thing up and continue buying. But if I'm not seeing candles staying green with huge demand wicks, they're just simply absorbing.
So we're going down.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, and it's okay because we've talked about that 75, that 64 area here, right? We've talked about this on, I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago. I said, I really expect us to kind of come down here to that 67, 65, 64. This is, I feel like it's line in the sand right here around this area. If we fall below that 64, the next one is that 59 area, right? We just cut through this area like butter. That 67 area, man, it just we just had a small little reaction off of that. Boom, came up, didn't even get a 2-to-1 off of this area, but not much. Boom, and now it's just selling off. So we want to see, like I always say, I want to see demand wicks as we're coming into those areas there. On the 1 hour, on the 2 hour, coming down, boom. You didn't see any demand wicks coming in, especially as we're coming down into it. Look at that, nothing.
I know, and I saw that, I was like, this is interesting.
Just going to sell through it. And that's a good thing, because then you guys get the dollar cost average into it. Or you wait, like I'm waiting. I'm waiting to get in at these levels here. That 60, if it does. I mean, I'm going to wait to see if it blows through this 63, that 65, 63, if it blows through that. Yeah, bro. Yeah, buddy. Yo, I need to reach out to the Bitcoin.com guys to be like, so I said I was gonna do it, I just forgot yesterday.
Just reference the show, guys. 1 year ago, I was here right in your own studio talking about these potential levels right down here.
It was in December. It was December.
Oh, well, that's right. That's right. It was in December. But yeah, I think I was referencing when you were on a year ago or so.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be like, hey, dudes. And the guy, he was just like, I think price was roughly at the peak here. And roughly no, I think you're right. No, it was about a year ago. You are right.
Yeah, you were on that show first about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when you were dealing with Ghost and crew and meme coins, and I was like, "Oh, this is not going to work out well."
Yeah, I love those guys. Those guys are good. Those guys are good.
No, I didn't mean the guys. I just meant the meme. Doing the meme coin thing. I'm like, it's a different world than day trading. Totally different world.
Yes, it is. But it's really cool to see what's happening here. And people are like, "What do you mean cool?" Well, I mean, expecting this.
I'm just gonna fix something for 1 second here, Pedro, on the thing. Our voices are still on, but I got the screen holder up here while I fix the footer. Everyone, we've got a good crew on Rumble here. We got 23 people here.
Nice.
Thanks a lot for joining us. If you got any questions, let us know. We're an interactive show here. And I mean, normally you see us, but I'm just fixing the footer right now because my scroller disappeared. There we go.
Yeah, it's showing that the live is not live. We're not seeing our screen.
There we go.
Frost.
Yeah, I put
I got you. I know.
Put the holder on there for a minute. But thanks everyone that's watching us. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on Rumble. Pedro, go ahead.
All right, so one of the things I'm looking at, right, and again, people are like, dude, enough. We just saw a huge sell-off on H&T. Now we're below the lows here.
Oh.
So, yeah.
H&T is the Helium project, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So we're seeing some major sell-off here. Like I talked about how that 8-period moving average was going to be one of the ones I want to see us get above. So we just came up, we've been tapping the 8-period right there. It's starting to pick up here. So my next level here, and I'm going to show you guys actually how to go through and see what's going on. So we're going to go to a coin market cap here. I'm going to go to H&T here. It's a H&T. And we're gonna go check out their current system here. And then this is typically how I look for zones here, right? You can see that the level here for H&T, they're at their lows here. This is when I was talking about that area of like that 109 area, because that was this area here. But now we're literally at the lows here. And the only area that they have left where we can actually see solid demand is going to be right here at this level. It's going to be at that 27 area. You also have another liquidity area right here. So there's a difference between zones and liquidity. Liquidity is where people go through. This is really important, right? They put their stops are at. It doesn't mean that there's a bunch of doesn't mean that there are a lot of buy orders, it just means that there's a bunch of orders. So down here right now, I'm going to point out that I'm going to make this into a purple line, and I'll make this into a blue line just because it's below. And so this to me means that there are a bunch of sell orders, sell orders, sorry, where they're going to be triggered because everybody was long from this low here all the way up, right? They've done very well. I think this went up to $50 at its high, right? And so for myself, I'm looking at this going like, all right, so there's a lot of people made money. That little area there for a lot of people is the low, right? Like that's going to hurt a lot of people. So they're going to capitulate and they're going to get stopped out. They're going to sell their position off most likely. And so I'm looking at that level right here, right? That 67 area. So we're going to go over here to my trading view chart. And I'm going to point this out. So what was I said 60. It kicked in there for a second. I got somebody sending me something. Where we at? William 67.11. So we're gonna say 60. All right, 67.11. And so we're gonna hit this here. Okay, and that's gonna be a liquidity area. So I'm gonna make that here. Nice liquidity area here. Nice little blue line there, looking all nice, shiny. Let's go, Bob. All right, and then the next one we are gonna go put in right here. It's gonna be this lower level here. This is the boring part.
Pedro, where did you get this cold?
I was hanging out with a friend yesterday. I think he was sick, and I don't normally do, I normally do my potions today or daily, but I just didn't do it this week. I don't know why I didn't do it. I just was kind of out of it, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Actually, it's gonna be 68.89, so we're gonna change that here. 68.
Pedro, we've had 31 people watch us on X. Thank you very much to everybody watching on X.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having you guys. Now, the next area that I'm looking at here is for you guys to hit the like button and share button. That does help us out. I'm bringing you guys alpha. All I ask is you help me out and share this content just to get people to understand what's happening here in crypto. So if you guys hit the like and share button, post it on your social streams, especially friends of yours that are in crypto, let them know this is not the end of the world. It's not the end of crypto. Okay. It's just simply just a sell-off for the institution so that they can get in at lower pricing. Okay. So here we go. Next, we are going to click. So we're at AT. And let's go here to helium. That is going to be 3177 and 6667. 3177. That is a real. That's mad. 3177. Man, that's gotta hurt somebody. Put this here. Nice little right here. And if you hear anybody start to call these zones out there on the great internet web, just know they're probably watching us. So shout out to all you guys who are going to copy me. It's okay. All I ask is that you share my information, where to get it, because that makes things better for me. All right, it's going to be 31. I forget what it was. 3177. I thought that's what it was. Yeah. 3177. Next one is going to be 0067. Boom. Edit. All right. So these are my areas now that I'm looking now for us to go to the next level here. That area of that 68 cents, It all depends on how we hit this, right? Like I always say, it all depends how we're going into that zone. So I'm looking at this level here. Also 31 cent to 67. Why does that say 7? It should say 67. Did I? 67. Okay, I guess you're not gonna play nice with me.
HNT seems to be dumping while you're on the air here, Pedro.
Yeah, it is. Why is this being a douche? Stop being a douche. 67. All right, come on. All right, whatever. It's not being cool. Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool. Anybody know what that's from? Come on now. All right. So, one of the greatest cinema masterpiece of our day, at least when I was growing up, was Pulp Fiction there. Be cool, honey bunny.
This is Striking, and I still do the Pulp Fiction dance here. Actually, she does some kind of a tap dancing ostrich dance, and I have severe white man's disease, so I just break out the Pulp Fiction stuff, and it works.
Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. We're seeing, so there's crypto stuff right there. I'm looking again still at Tesla, right? I want to see Tesla hit this 200-day period moving average. I want to see us come and tap-a-roo here. That's going to be that 382 area that I'm looking at. Also, if we could see this thing come down to that 342, even better. So that's going to be cool. Let's talk about MSTR.
Hold on one second. I wanted to ask you something about Tesla here.
Tesla? Yes, sir.
Where are we in the great cycle of Tesla's pricing? We're back to $400. A little while ago, we were down to much lower, way down there.
Yep.
When was that low right there that you're looking at?
Well, this was in April of 2025. So basically, within a year, we've doubled in price. We went from 216 to 488. I think the peak was 498. Yeah, it was 498. So we'll just say 500. So basically doubled in value from here, 250% jump. Now, the thing that I'm looking at, and I really like it a lot, is the fact that Elon Musk is really pushing hard for that, but just for XAI and Starlink to really get going. And so it's one of those things that if he's able to pull that off, this is going to be revolutionary for humankind. And he's got a tall order to pick up. But if he's able to do it, it's going to change the manufacturing process in the whole entire world. I mean, it will literally revolutionize America again. We will be the leader in just space manufacturing.
Sitting on our asses.
Yeah, like
because AI will be doing everything.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely bonkers. So sitting there seeing the energy production there, and I think China, once China sees it, they're definitely going to try to steal and move that. So it's going to be really interesting to see. So on the cycle of here, we're seing the AI bubble pop, right? Everybody keeps talking about it. Oh, AI bubble, the hype is all malarkey. No, I don't think we do. We keep seeing these things jump. Now, we were used to, and I've talked about this prior, we've been used to seeing these AI things jump 10,000, 10,000%, at 10x, 100x. And I'm saying it like this. If we can still see 100% jump every year, it is still amazing. You don't see growth like that in any industry except for AI. But it's almost like crypto bros. We're so used to 100x, 1000x that now
it's only 20x.
Yeah, or the fact that like if you only get like 100% in a year, 100% is a big deal.
Right, big number.
100. Yeah.
Well, I hold on. I'm going to redirect you back to Tesla here. What I wanted to ask you about the Tesla is where are we in the trend? Is it still an uptrend, or is this local bad news about AI breaking it out of I mean, we're trying to calculate if Elon's going to double his wealth again here just from his Tesla holdings.
Definitely in a downtrend. You can see here that we're below the 100 period moving average, and we're tapping the 200 period moving average. So over the last 200 plus days, we've been down. Right, so it's important to pay attention to that. Now, will we hold here? We potentially could hold here, consolidate, and then continue up, but it all depends on how it's going to react to this 200-day period moving average as we hit it. That's that 380. If we don't come in with a lot of volume around this area here, then most likely we're going to continue down. We'll go up a little, we'll tap that 8 period right here, and then we'll see it come down, boom, 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 drop again down to that area, lower area here of that 342 area. So that's what I'm looking at to see. If we do not, I mean, I'm going to be buying Tesla at the 382, right? And then I'm definitely going to be looking for it to continue down at that 342 area. Because I think for the long, 342, 328 area. And that's going to be a trade, right? Like some of it I'm going to hold, and then some of it I'm going to go, I'm going to take off, right, off the table in case we come even lower there. But again, I expect us to see it bounce off that 200 period, which is that 380. And based on how we are coming into it is what it's going to dictate whether I'm going to hold that for a long term or I'm going to take profit and then hold on to some as we continue down.
Crypto Unicorn says Elon disappeared. Hold on. Elon's wealth moves up and down like my meme coins in Trust Wallet. You know, there's crypto people that have had a lot of meme coins in your wallet. You look at your wallet, 1 second it says $1,000. Then you look at it, it says $80. Then it says $2,000, and then it's back to $100. But that's Elon's wealth. He's like, I'm just gonna look at my old wallet here. Oh, I'm worth 800 billion. But nope, 759. Oh, nope, 775. 810 billion. That's how fast that's how fast his wealth moves. It moves like a beginning meme coin.
Well, I think what's also interesting is that when you're dealing with hundreds of billions of dollars, what's the difference between, going from 400 billion to 200 billion? I mean, right. Your life still isn't going to change.
Oh, God, we're going to have to sell the jets.
Right, like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, the point that where you're almost a trillionaire, like one individual wealth, right, is almost at $1 trillion, and you lose 400 billion. You go from 500 billion now to 250 billion. Okay, well, the man literally doesn't own houses. The man literally sleeps on friends' couches. The man literally doesn't, like, those
little modular homes on Starbase.
Yeah, like it's not about the wealth for him. I mean, he's just not. I mean, he purposely sold a lot of his stocks so that he could pay. So he's like, I paid the largest sum of taxes anybody has ever done, ever, just to prove a point. So I look at that and I'm like, can I hate him for that? I mean, you just literally filled up the cofferdam for some states. Like some of those liberal states, he just helped them out, and y'all hate him right now. So it's, like,
well,
what are you gonna
remember he bought $1 billion worth of stock, of Tesla stock, personally, when it was at one of its lows here, like not 400, but like at 200 or something like that, somewhere around there. And they're like, well, why are you buying it? He said, because it's a good deal. and he literally has doubled his money. And he probably, of course it went up. That's how billionaires get more billions, is they manipulate the price of the company. or they just know. They see the future and they have the vision and I know we're going to be making all these deliveries then. It's all public info anyway, but still he can see, with his eyes, he can see it happening better. So I'm going to buy $1 billion. The market takes that as a plus sign, like you can't believe, like, oh my God. And sure enough, the stocks started back up. And what was its high there? 700 and something?
Well, all right. So he had a split, right? I think he had a.
What's the high on your chart there in the past few months?
498. It was almost $500. And he had a split, I believe it was 3-1, that's what it was. So like his it came down to here, like this is where it was. I think he bought not last year, it was like 2 years ago, it was like around here, right, where it was literally at like 113, and then it sold off again to like 147, right? So like you can see here that the man like just was like, why not buy this and then push it back up? So when I look at from a standpoint of, if you look at anybody who's doing good, like I won't say doing good, but who's trying to progress the human, we're trying to almost evolve and get to that next level, this man is doing it. And there's a lot of money that he's putting in on his own back. And he's notorious for not accomplishing what he's trying to do in the time periods that he's tried to. But the reality is he's breaking things faster than anybody else is doing, and he's innovating much quicker than everybody else. The only people who are really remotely keeping up with him is the CCP and their initiatives that they're doing. And the reason why is they literally have unlimited money from the state coming in. This man doesn't necessarily have that. He has his own capital. He has to increase and progress. So this is what's really interesting to see him progress here. And so for me, yes, if you're going to, bet on something, I'll always bet on America, because I'm a true blue blood, red blood American, right? Like no matter what. I mean, yes, my roots are from Mexico and Italy, right? That's where my family comes from, right? But I'm an American. I'll die for this country. I'll serve for this country, which I did. And so in that same sense, I believe in the fact that I always will bet on an American. And I think it's funny, he's an immigrant too, so he comes from Canada, right? But the man is pushing America. He believes in America, I think. And so with that said, I'll buy his stock, because I think long term, this in the next 20 years, we'll probably see another 3 to 5, 10 stock split again. But I think if the current price here, I think one day we'll see from 500, we'll see a 20,000 Tesla. I mean, if we keep going in this route that we're sitting in right now, which is basically the U.S. government keeps doing what? They keep printing money. Now, it's very interesting that Scott Bessent literally said, which is almost definitely poking at the Federal Reserve, saying, I can't print magic money like y'all, right? Paraphrasing it. But I thought it was very interesting. And so that statement on his end was really almost a slap in the face. And I thought that was really, really a slap in the face of Powell and the Federal Reserve. And what I think is really interesting is he literally hangs out with these guys, right? He probably goes to coffee with them, hangs out with them. So I just thought it was really interesting, a little jab there that he threw out yesterday. The other thing I almost brought up is, as well as 4 trillion. JP Morgan says Bitcoin now is even more attractive than gold long term, which I thought was really interesting, because that statement is that, like, as it's selling off, if their statement is like that right now, I'm thinking they're going to sell off more. If they say something positive about something, I'm expecting it to keep going. So I thought
it's like the orange juice pit in trading trading places. Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, they're dumping the orange juice. And then it gets real low, and then they're like, buy them up, buy them.
Yeah, this is common. So I don't want you guys to get faked out by this. This market is not going to go anywhere. Like, it's going to go up. It's selling off. I had commented with an influential person, and he had bought Bitcoin around 90,000, and about 100,000, and he wanted to break even. And so this was at the beginning of the year, and I said to him, no, get out now, sell it now, get the tax covering, and then jump back in like February. Mid-Febs, because we need to put in the demand wig. And he's like, "No, man, I'm just, if it goes down." I said, "No, man, like get the tax write-off. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you, like, you're smarter than this." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I go, "I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, I understand the way psychological trading works and how they work." And I go, "I'm almost positive." I go, "I'm waiting. Like, I'm going to be buying. I think we're coming down to at least 75, if not lower, sub 75 into that 65, 50 area potentially." He goes, "Oh, I hope not." I go, "Dude, I mean, we're like an 80% chance because we're going up first of the year. They're going up the first of the year. They're going to bring it down. I'm telling you, there's no demand wings." And he just didn't understand. And that was my fault because I should have gotten so excited for him. I was trying to show him. So I was getting too emotional saying, "Bro, I'm looking out for you." And, and that's, obviously that's a guy's issue. When a dude gets too, emotional, connected to you, we basically repel that. We're like, "Dude, get off of me." And so, that was my bad. I could have just been like, "Well, hey, let's be more logical. Let's look at it like this." And so in the future, when I'm interacting with someone, I'll be like, "Look, let's look at it from a tax standpoint."
Pedro, my system decided once again just to bring up my screen with the TV. And it usually takes a minute or so for it to work itself out here.
That gremlin is real. All right, so here's some other breaking news I thought was really interesting. The European central banks keeps interest rates unchanged, which I thought was really interesting. Also, let's go over about the U.S. jobs here. Those are really interesting as well.
Scandal with that. With jobs, not scandal, but jobs report came out terrible.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. We said that I expect to be jobs to come out really bad, right? Because we're seeing the slowdown in the country. We're seeing a slowdown in the world. People keep lying about saying that this economy is phenomenal when the reality is it's not. People are not buying. When you look at consumer reports, when you look at people and their ideas of the market and the economy, people are not positive. And so when people are not positive in a broad sense, they hold on to their money. Plus, they're seeing their friends lose jobs. They're seeing their friends lose hours, right? Now we're seeing people really starting to housing. People are starting to see foreclosures start to pick up, right? So this is one of those things now that I expect. And we talked about this. Again, we talked about this. I expected. I said Trump has literally, I said he has a year and a half, right, when he first got going, to get those jobs here in America with manufacturing banging right off the jump. He had to push that because if he's going to subvert this economic crash, he's got to get those going where we were going to see a drop no matter what, right? Like I said, the way he's changing up the world order, how he's trying to change things, he's trying to bring jobs and manufacturing back here into America, hence pushing a lot of or changing the world order and how jobs are manufactured and how things are manufactured. And I said a lot of people are not going to be happy with that, but America is kind of the big bad brother where if you don't follow us, we're going to push you. And I said he's got to do it swiftly, he's got to do it quickly. If he doesn't, if Congress gets in the way, if other things get in the way, we're going to see a potential crash, right? Just remember at that time I was talking about I'd expect the stock market potentially to drop all the way down to 1,500, potentially 2,300, or 2,300, potentially 1,500, right? And this is when the stock market, I think, was at, I think it was 4,500 at the time, 4,500. I don't think it hit 3,000, or I don't think it had 5,000. Give me one second just to make sure. S&P 500. I think it was right here. Yeah, back in January, February. Oh, 6,000. Boom. Oh, here it goes. Yeah, this is where it was. So it was about 6,000 then. Yeah, that's where it was sitting at. And then so we saw it go from here all the way down to here, from the 6,000 all the way up to 4,800. And I said I thought we were going to come and tap these lower areas here. We didn't, because this was the Trump talks on tariffs. And because of that, I said, if he shut his mouth based off of that, because the stock market really started hurting the rich. And when the rich starts to get hurt, then he himself starts to lose the real strong base.
Uh-oh. Pedro. Earth to Pedro.
So on the back end, as I'm looking at this, and Tom, you can see here that the stock market is now starting to see a bit of a sell-off. We're about to break the 100 and the 200-day period moving average. If you pull up the S&P 500 here, you can see if you have the 100-day period moving average, it's starting to break it. And the next level after that, if we close below this with volume, which is going to be the next level, is we're sitting at 68. I expect 64.5 or 6,500 on the S&P 500, which will then cause what to go up crazy? Silver and gold. Remember, I talked about pullbacks into silver and pullbacks into gold. These levels here. Oh, come on. Why isn't it working again? You can hear me though, right?
Can hear you. Yep, I'm bringing up the ES chart right now.
Give me 1 second just to make sure. Thomas, you there?
I'm here. We gotcha.
All right. So it go to gold and silver. Go to, as I'm pulling this up here. Sorry, guys. You know about my PC. Honestly, man, I'm actually going to just pay somebody to do it.
Patrick says Michael Saylor turned off his phone today. He can't get through to him.
Patty, what's up, dog? How you doing? Come over to Rumble.
That's all right. Someone needs to watch the YouTube feed.
All right, fair enough. I'm done with YouTube. I don't care. They can go and talk to the dirt. It's not the beards, but the beards.
The sell-off continues. That's correct.
Yeah. We talked about it last night. Me and him were talking about markets.
Yeah, well, we're down to now we're down to 65,000.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited, man. I'm so excited, dude. Let's go. I'm so sorry, dude.
That's all right, Pedro. It clears out all these levels and all this liquidity that's been sitting around for a long time now. I mean, some of these levels we've looked at on the charts, we've looked at on Bookmap. The orders have been there a long time, and it's good to get them cleared out. I used to carry a deck of orders in my hand when I worked on the floor, literally papers in triplicate, and you sorted them by price. And as the market moved, yada yada yada, went to the different orders and stuff like that. And at one time, the market moved a long way. It was October of 1989. Can't hear you, Pedro.
You saw the orders before anybody else saw the orders, correct?
I held the order book in my hand the whole days.
You were the big booty white girl in the ghetto.
Right. So in October of 1989, I took the co-op for a year and stayed in without going back to school. I was working for, I can't remember if it was Prudential Base or Shearson Lehman. And the market just tanked. The Dow Jones, it went from 800 to 600. People couldn't believe it. Oh my God. And I had a guy out. And so I was working the desk by myself. They're trying to get someone from the cotton desk to come over and help me. I was working what's now called the ICE, the International, or the ICE exchange that owns, that's the family that owns the company that owns New York Stock Exchange. They do the dollar index. They do the stock exchange index. It used to be called the knife. Now it's called the ICE. Anyway, the market's tanking. The stock market's tanking. It's going down. And we just ripping through these orders, just things that, all the top orders you get in the day, good till cancel, or good for today only, or good till close, and then what was that called? Oh yeah, GTC order, good till close, and then good till cancel was different. GCX, or GTX, which good till cancel, and we were just ripping through them. And as we got down through the orders, Pedro, the ones on the bottom, and we had like a little hard backing on it. The ones on the bottom were all worn and faded and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, this order's been here for a year. So literally I called up 06, or not 06 Rob, I called whatever his name was, 29 Dylan on the phone. And normally the phone floor doesn't call the brokerages. And I called him and I said, hey, I just want to let you know, I've got an order here that's more than a year old to buy the knife at, whatever price. I said, it's about 15% lower than where we are now. I said, is this order still valid? I wanted to double check because it was going to be an expensive mistake for my error account if it was not valid. We just had old paper. He goes, it's valid, all right. And
sorry,
it never hit it. That was the lowest the stock in October of '89. I don't think it ever went lower. Since then, and I remember calling him up after the thing. I said, do you still want it in there? He goes, well, it's been there for a year. Might as well keep it in there. It's a good level to keep an order in. It almost hit. For a year he had the order in, and I was carrying it around everywhere I went. Well, not out of the trading pit. I had to stay with somebody in the trading area. And I remember calling him like. He's like, is this a trading floor? I was like, yeah. He's like, because normally he would deal with a internal desk because he was a high volume broker. And so he had his own internal trading desk, and the trading desk consolidated orders and then sent them to the floor. But I just called him. He's like, is this the floor calling me? I said, yeah. Someone answered his phone, and I'm like, I need to talk to him. And they're like, well, sorry. I'm like, I'm on the floor with one of his orders. I need to talk to him right fucking now. And the markets are going crazy that day. The market was going absolutely nuts. And so he gets on the phone. Is this the trading floor? I'm like, yeah, it's the knife, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, that order's still good. Thanks for calling me, and that type of stuff. But it was so interesting. But just like your point, those things down there, they come back.
All right. You are literally, so first of all, you never told me that. That story right there is the epitome. This is why you realize, like, these guys now, there is no Tom anymore. It's just they put their orders in and they wait for those orders to get hit. If they get hit, cool. If they don't get hit, it's no sweat. Because here's the thing. Most institutions don't have the same margin requirements that you do. They have totally different margin requirements. They are literally 1,000th, 1/10,000th, 100,000th of the value that they can put orders in versus what you do. Most people, if they trade during the evening, it costs them at least $1,000 for a contract. Excuse me, not 1,000, $5,000 per contract just to get in. But during the daytime, it's about 1,000. Okay, so that's a 5-to-1 ratio. If you're a good trader, I'm not talking you're an institute, but if you're a good trader, I can get it for $500 to $400.
Right.
Now, that is literally half of my day trading, right? Of value than what you're paying. During the night, the most I am paying is maybe $1,000 to hold that position open. Now, if you're an institution, you're paying $50. If not, during the night session, in the day session, you're paying $5 for each contract that you want to have access to trade. So I can go in, let's say me and Tom build this thing up really big, and all of a sudden we're an institution. We're managing $500 million or almost $1 billion, right? We can get in and we'll be able to put a position down in. I can buy 7,000, 10,000 orders, right, of contracts down at, let's just say the silver pay here, right? Because we've been talking about silver selling off. Got me down to our levels here. Why is my computer not working, dude? This thing is so frustrating.
Yeah, let me talk to Patrick real quick. Yes, Patrick, that's a solid story. I mean, it's a real story. But yeah, I carried the order books around, and I worked on a little trading ring. There were guys like me working the gold and the COMEX. They'd have like 5 guys, and each guy had a stack of orders. In like a lot of operations, like when I worked for Beish, our gold pit might have 2 or 3 traders for the firm, and so each one would have an order guy. So when it's busy, they were all working, keeping track of the orders coming in, and coming reporting back to the clerks on the phones. There was kind of 2 types. Some firms used spotters on the edge of the pit who would just signal to the phone clerks, and other firms had guys just standing with them and clipboards and running back and forth. And I mostly did the running because the bigger firms didn't want you to fuck anything up with getting the signal wrong, or a sign wrong, or whatever it is. And some pit, because I moved around to pits a lot, and some pits doing this is sell 2. So in some pits this is sell 2 and this is sell 20. So when you move, if you work the same pit all the time, they would let us signal the orders in and then back to the clerks. But if you were a move around guy like a lot of the big firms had, they wouldn't let us do that, because you walk into the gold pit and you're like, sell 20, and it's like a lot more expensive than selling 20 over in the orange juice pit.
A big mistake.
That's how sell 2,000. What the fuck? Exactly. And at the end of the day, this is the worst part. At the end of the day, thankfully, I very rarely had to do this. Everyone in this started, the stock exchange did it, commodities exchange did it, everything. We had what's called the breaks. The breaks were when all the clerks got together in a room after the market closes, that one person for each firm, and you go through the printout of your trades and reconfirm every trade, going through. Let's just say I was not a trader, but let's just say I was trading. And the clerk would say, all right, Tom trade with Pedro. Tom buy at 200, Pedro sell 200, January's. Other clerk would go, yep, check. And you recreate the entire day, take about an hour and a half on a busy day, of all the orders. And every once in a while, there'd be a break in which both guys thought they were selling or both guys thought they were buying. And you'd have to resolve it with your error accounts and stuff like that. And, or go back and look through and see what actually happened and call the broker. It was a pain in the ass, but we have to go through the entire fucking market, every trade from open to close, and verbally confirm them. I mean, one girl liked to do it. Thank God we had one of the companies I worked at, the girl that liked to do that, because then she got in and got to sit down, and in that room you could smoke back then, so she could go smoke after work. No, there was errors all the time. I mean, each firm has an error account, and they have to, in order to be able to trade, they have to maintain an error. If you're representing clients, if you're it's your own firm, own money, when you make a bad trade, that's your error. You just lose money. But when you trade other people's money, they know you're going to have an error, and they don't want to make sure that you don't have a liquidity issue when you do that. So you have to maintain money in an error account, or had to back then. I don't know what it's like now, since everything's electronically matched. There's no errors, except when there's a exchange, glitches or something. But yeah, in fact, on that day in October of '89, and this is not the '87 crash that was super mega. This is like a regular super mega one, and I actually missed an order. I missed because we were short-staffed. Like I said, one guy was on vacation, another guy just called in sick, and I was doing the best I could to do everything on this absolutely crowd. All the phones are ringing. I'm answering the phone for the guy next to me too, and stuff like that. And I had a sell one at the market order, kind of slip under like the equivalent of today. You'd call it a mouse pad, and back then it was I don't know what it was a pencil holder or something like that. And because there was only one of me, I didn't have time after the orders would come to kind of fix everything. I would wait for my manager to come over. Finally, we got a phone call saying, hey, I didn't get a fill on that sell order. And I'm like, what sell order? I'm like looking at the books. I'm like, I ain't got no sell order for you. And he's like, I called it in. And so I go over to the, my manager comes over and he takes over the brokers and he's like, "Where's this sell order?" And they're like, "We don't have the sell order." And they come over to me with the brokers. Now the market's dropped a lot. You know, fortunately, it's only one contract, so you know it's not that big of a deal, but it's still big. And the guy, my manager, and our broker, which was the independent firm that we used on this trading pit, came over and they're like, "Hey, Tommy, what's this? You know, did you get a fill from these guys?" And I looked at it and then I realized that this was the one. Then I realized where the actual paper was for it. And I said, "Oh, here it is. No, guys, that's my fault. I just lost that order." And the brokers were astounded because they get blamed for everything. The traders, they're like, traders' fault. Let the rich guys pay for it. And I was like, "No, you know, that's my fault." And I was 20. I don't remember if I was 19 or 20. Well, I was 89, so I was 21. I was 21. And I just took the blame. I was like, "Yeah, it's my fault. I'm by myself here, and I lost one." But I cleared a stack like this of orders, and later my manager came over and he actually thanked me for being honest. He said that doesn't happen a lot. He said that doesn't happen a lot. Most people point at each other, and the managers have to go behind the scenes and work it out and stuff like that. And then the brokers came over later after the day closed, and they said, "Tommy, you know that was really great of you to admit to that because we didn't recall it at all." I said, "No, I actually lost it. That was the truth." And he's like, "Oh, well, that's even better." But that's how. And then the firm, it was Prudential Beige. Now that I recall, paid the broker, you know, internally because it was a Prudential Beige broker. Internally, they made his account whole and his client's account.
Ooh, that's nice, man. Because you're talking those big dude, and dude, you know how many times I've been screwed over, and I'm like, I sold the market, or and it's just like, nope. And then nobody will honor that. Like, I'm like, I know that I did. And because something happened in the system, there's nothing you can do about it. You just eat it. And they say it's the trader's fault. This is why I'm with this man right here. The honesty and the realness.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what it was. Patrick says, so you're fortunate to work there during that, you're that young. I actually started when I was 17. After I graduated from high school, before I started college, I started it. I was going to Purdue for an engineering degree, and my mom's side of the family lives in New Jersey, and one of the family friends essentially ran the commodities program for Prudential Base. My first job was with E.F. Hutton. You know, remember E.F. Hutton? When E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. He ran their whole commodities division, and so they got me an internship. I was living in Ohio, and they're like, "Hey, you want to work in New York and Wall Street?" I was like, "Well, okay." It's like a week later, I'm in my car driving to live with my grandparents in New Jersey and working on Wall Street. Literally took the train to Newark, the path into Manhattan. In the world, it was in Four World Trade Center. Four World Trade Center is one of the shorter, only 20-story buildings.
Just to have that job, right? You understand how.
And
you're going to be a monster at trading. Once
I get back into it.
No, I'm telling you, because you never told me this story. You never told me that. You said you handled orders, but you didn't tell me you handled the book.
Yeah, back in the day, that was handling the orders. You handled them.
Yeah. Well,
there was no computers.
So this is most likely what you're going to do. You're going to go back because your brain's going to tell you to do this. You will remember certain orders, certain things, certain big orders, and what you are going to do, because nothing's changed in the market. Nothing's changed. Everything's still the same way. Once you start to learn from certain people, what's going to happen is your brain's going to go, wait, I remember that. And you're going to go back to the charts of those days, and you're going to sit there and you're going to mentally see what's actually happening. And then you're going to look at the SMAs and you're going to look at everything and you go like, holy shit, it was all lined up. And then all of a sudden your confidence in what you're doing is going to springboard more so than anybody else, because you literally, if people who here know Online Trading Academy, Sam Seiden, who started the whole entire education system for Online Trading Academy, he was basically Sam Seiden. He handled the books, right? And so, Tom, when you really start to get into this, you're going to sit there and be like, when you tell certain mentors what you actually did, I didn't know that. I would have picked your brain. Because I know like you actually have an intrinsic, because you were 17, 18, 19, 20.
Remember though, I had a different job though. So like on one of the trading pits I worked, we had a clipboard. The orders were kept over back on the desk, and I had a clipboard that there was a tick mark near each pricing tick level. At 5 cents, whatever 5 cents, we have 7 orders. At 10 cents, we had 3. And at this level, we had 20. And I'm like, oh, that's a busy level. At age 17, I didn't think, had I been smart, I would have opened a brokerage dealer or account with a brokerage that was not mine and placed orders in the same place where I saw volume, because this was...
It would have been against the law. You would have been...
No, I know. That's why you don't do those things. But, and I remember I had another guy try to bribe me to tell you when I was going into the oil pit to let me know when I had the big order. Like, all you have to do is like just put your hand on your head a certain way or something like that. And I'm like, dude, I think that was when I was 18. I was like, I'm 18 years old. I can't do that shit. He's like, well, yeah, okay. Well, just, I'm always here for you if you need me.
Yeah. Well, the fact that
so if he was asking me, I was definitely not the first guy that ever happened to.
Well, I'll put it like this. You also were the first one. So check this out about Tom. This blows me away. Tom had the first Shoals calculator. He himself coded it. And
this one is the Texas Instruments one.
Here's the thing. He is on the freaking floor. Nobody knew or understood the Shoals calculator. Okay, that wasn't anything. This man right next to me, this man right here, coded it, put it on the little, basically Pi, the little Pi networks back then.
It was a Texas Instruments one. It wasn't connected to any network. It was just on its own.
It doesn't matter. It's that you could put the numbers in, what's actually happening, and give you the options movement, but potentially where it could go. And then you put the correct, you're like, okay, well, here's some orders here, right? You can see it in the chart, because remember, they would handwrite the charts then, right? And so dudes would...
The computer would print them out in the morning. You had to update them by hand during the day.
But...
let me say, I say computer, I mean the mainframe Unix data system that...
What I'm saying is this. Men who understood, he's like your balls barely dropped, right? You're like 19, 18, right? Like
my voice was a little higher back then.
But what blows me away is these men saw it and was like, and
well, I did that. I could write. I used to code when I was little. My computers that my parents got me were always in the basic programming language, so I learned how to do that. And when this was later on. This was probably in 1990 or so. I'm standing there on the edge of the trading pit, and the guy that I'm looking at all day here when I was in this particular job, he's like, "Oh, I got this new mini computer thing. It's a Texas Instruments calculator, but it runs the basic programming language." And at the time, what was going on here, they were arbitraging between the S&P 500 and the knife in New York, which is now the ICE contract, and it was a basic arbitrage level of every 4 S&P contracts equaled 7 on the New York Stock Exchange. Before they were like trying to run macros on old HP scientific notation calculators and all this type of stuff. And I said, it runs basic. I said, why don't I just write a program for it to, enter the numbers in. And he's like, and so I literally stood there on the edge of the trading pit, I'm doing this. Yeah, coding it, and he's like, and he enters the number, and he goes, "Yeah, it works. It gives me the right numbers." He said, "But it's not that user friendly." I said, "Well, does it have a cursor keys on it too?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom," and I went sitting on the crapper coding it so that he could use the up and down and left and right key to change his numbers. And I said, "There you go. It should work." And his mind just like literally leaked out his ear. He was like, it works perfectly. And it's so much faster too. And I didn't even think about it. Like I said before, I was like, I was like, I should have taken his calculator and left, and sent, or sent it back saying, oh, it doesn't work, you figure it out, and then gone and bought a bunch of these calculators, programmed them, and then sold them.
No, why would you do that? What you do is, because you understand where the market will most likely drop because of the Shoals calculator and the options of it, the calculation of the options of and the volatility where it's going to go. Then you go through, because you're the only one, you would have been the only one for almost 10 years before the next one came out, who he made billions of dollars. His name is Shoals, right? And he goes through and goes, yeah, it's not really working anymore. Here you guys go. And he brings it to the market. So, like, you.
Well, I remember we had a computer screen that came from some mainframe system somewhere in New York that showed the options, and it showed colors kind of like bookmap for certain option levels. And one of the guys said, hey, can you program my thing to do the options? And that's an order of magnitude more complex than just doing a ratio and spitting out answers and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot. And I was able to do it so that he had to manually put in a couple of things because I couldn't get it to automatically update. But it essentially went through the hard part was the decay. I was having I couldn't get the equations to. You had to manually figure out the decay and plug that in. What's that called? Theta is the decay in options. And it would give him pretty good price for what he wanted to trade, and then he could look at the screen, and it worked okay. It wasn't great though, and my options program was really buggy.
Here's the thing. I know you. I know you, and like you would have started tinkering with it and figured it out and made it more better. You would have made it better, and just I would have never met you. You would have been a multi-billionaire. Like you would have been literally.
I know it's crazy.
I know this because I know your brain. I mean, you have a engineering brain, and so like you're a tinkerer as well. So like you would have been sitting there tinkering it, and then you would have ordered parts. You would have done this. You would probably be like you really would have been.
Yeah, I know. I
allegedly you would have been.
I remember it took me years to even remember that I did that. It was like 20 years, and I was like, oh yeah, I wrote that stuff, and they're like, what? They're like, that was like years before anyone else did. One of the best stories, Pedro, I made. I don't know if I told you this or not, but one of the guys I worked for, I once all the other guys saw it, they're like, I want one too. Yeah. So I programmed the guy, and he covered the orange juice pit. And the orange juice trading pit wasn't like in the movies big. It was a small pit that traded only 4 days a week, and for like 4 hours a day. Like during certain parts of the year, it would operate every day, but it was very seasonal. And the guys that ran it essentially were people that were actually part of the orange juice farming industry, and someone in the family had to go be the floor broker because the people that grow crops they hedge a lot. And it wasn't like corn where there's a million people doing it. There's orange juice. There's only so many families, and they're all families that pretty much own all the orange trees in the U.S. And this guy's name was Basil that I worked with. And Basil, he went over to the orange juice pit and he came back, and I go, how'd it work? He goes, I just killed them. He said, I absolutely killed them. And so I went over and watched him. And when he walks over, they're like, no, we don't want to trade with you. And he said, but they have to because he's got the orders, And he said, I'm so much faster than them. And this guy was wicked smart anyway. He was like on level of smartness. He said, but they had no chance. He said, like I don't know. I worked for that guy for about 5 months, and at the end of that time, I said, thanks. I'm going back to school or whatever it was. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. This really helped. He said, I smoked him on it. And you know what? Not one of those fuckers tipped me or gave me a commission or not even a bonus or any. Not one of them. They are all such greedy bastards. I still can't believe that. I wasn't expecting it, nor did I think of it. Then later in life, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Some kid programmed something for me and it caused me to make many hundreds of thousands of dollars more. I might have thrown something his way. It's like those greedy bastards.
Yeah. Like
Patrick, I'm full of these stories. The best part, Pedro, is like you said, because I'm getting back into it, I'm remembering. Like most of these stories I haven't even thought of or remembered for 30 years or 40 years.
This man, there's another one here. This is why I kept trying to push you to get into trading, because I know the way your brain works. I understand how you, we spend literally 2 hours together almost every single day. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know how my brain works. When I start to go ADD and I'm like, all right, I'm losing him. Right? Like when you start to nitpick, which is good, right? This is what like I try to get you to do with me, right? Like nitpick me, boom, 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 so we can really tease out thought processes and ideologies, right? And this is why sometimes we see me and him yelling at each other, because like I want that. That's good for our viewers. But I saw this man. What was the other one you told me about? I just sat there and I was like, holy shit. You the one guy that you were. He came, maybe it's the same story. He came up to you and he asked for something else, and you did a quick calculation. I think with like orders coming in and orders leaving, and you showed him how to do it. And the guy, like again, like the guy made hundreds of millions or hundreds of thousands, which would be hundreds of millions because it was almost 40 years ago, right? So 100,000 is worth 300,000 today. So this is where it's like a big deal. I mean, Tom's almost 60 here, so I mean, no offense, you know, kind of getting old, but
I know I started with E.F. Hutton in 1986. It's 40 years ago.
Yeah, so
in fact, it was June.
Computers, before any of this stuff became, where open outcry was, you were a king of the universe. A king of the universe if you were a good trader at the open.
Yeah. Oh, they literally printed money, those traders, those guys. And the independent guys that were good and fast, they made so much money because they were right there. They saw it. They saw it, and because now you can see the order books, on a lot of exchange. You can see that quickly the buy and sells, that type of stuff, and you can see, the various book maps and liquidity things show you all the orders and things like that. It's totally different when you have humans involved, because humans have tells, they have giveaways. You can see them start, like some guys when they have a big order and it's a big pit, they have to get their chest open to start to yell, and you can see, Jimmy's got an order, and then because you know which way the market's moving, you quickly front run him with another broker. Just say, and you just look at someone real quickly, and you're like, sell one, boom, and then Jimmy finishes the order, at sell 50 at the market, and then you buy one to the guy right next to you, and you front run him just because you knew every time Jimmy spread his chest like that, he was going to yell something big.
It just. And I look back now, I mean, you got to be like what I see here, what we do here, right? What you guys see me do here. I think I would have been bro. I remember as a kid, I was 18, was a foster kid. And this guy went to New York to go trade, and my brain started to think like that. It started to sit there and be like, I had a guy at one of my churches, or at the church, and he was a financial advisor. And I remember I was like, how do I do that? I want to do that. And he was honestly just looking out for me. I think he didn't want me just to waste my time. He just said to me, listen, you're not that smart. I don't see you, like literally, like, and here's the thing, at that time, if you would have met me, you would have been like, I didn't have the vocabulary that I have today. I didn't have the processes because I hadn't healed through a lot of the trauma that I've healed over the last 20 plus years. And then in additionally to that, so him saying that wasn't incorrect. He was looking out for me, right?
Right.
And so, and I didn't even believe in myself that I was smart. I thought I was an idiot. Like literally, I've had people told me, you're an idiot, bro. Just you got a strong body, you're well built. Just get into the trade, or get into the trades, get into that stuff. But my mind was always like, I was always asking questions. My brain just always asked questions. So he said to me, look, it takes the smartest guys in the world to do what you're trying to do. They go to Harvard, they go to Yale. There's no way that like you're just not there. He goes, I'm not even there, and he was one of the smartest guys I knew. So you're going to say, okay, cool. I'm an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. But here's the reason why I'm saying this is you don't know what you don't know at a young age. That's why having a good dad or a good father figure can sit there and say, nah, bro, you got this skill. You can do it. And whatever skill you want to develop, you can. You just gotta put that energy into it. So out to all you guys there, look, don't ever give up, man. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at what's his name, the KFC guy. Didn't become a billion, or he became a $100 millionaire and took KFC. Was it KFC or Wendy's?
Dave from Wendy's.
Yeah, started at the age of like 70 or something like that. And
oh no, that wasn't Dave.
Started at a very young age, and kept failing, and then just never gave up. Stepped away, worked hard, provided for his family, and then went back to it. And boom, like, you know, his last hoorah, he just built a massive organization. And so you never know. Find the thing that you love. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Gervais has showed up on the stream here. Says, what's happening to BTC?
All right, well, let's check it out here real quick. One thing I want to finish, I want to parse out here is gold and silver. Okay, real quick. So I'm expecting to see silver, honestly. It's already starting to show some strength here. Even with us going up here, look, you were seeing volume step out here as it's selling off. So I honestly think that we're going to see another rally, not silver, but in gold here, as we start to see it bounce off that 20 period moving average. We're bouncing off that 8 period. And we came down to my liquidity areas here that we've talked about, sitting around that 45, 20 area, that 43, 67 area. So I like this area here. We talked about it going from here down to there. Nice little 20% retracement. It's crazy, right, to say retracement, 20% gold. But we're seeing it kind of pull back here. And so I think we're going to see a continuation, especially what we're seeing in the stock market. The other thing I want to bring up here, and I promise you we'll go back to here, but I want to talk about the RTY, the Russell 2000, RTY, Russell, the Russell 2000, okay? We talked about this a couple weeks ago, how we were showing some weakness with the Russell 2000, and I thought we were going to see it come down here, right? And this typically is what in the market a bellwether. They call it a bellwether.
A bellwether, yes.
Yeah, a bellwether indicator of the market. And so we were talking about this, and I said, look, we're at all-time highs, but we don't have a lot of liquidity really coming in here. We could see it come back down to this, pull back to this area of 50 or 25, 60 area, to that 25, 50 area here. Now, I want to bring this up because this area, this is the only area that we really have until we get back down to that 2400 area. Okay, we're already seeing the peak was 27. Okay, we're watching it already get down to that 25 area. So we're almost at a 5% pullback here. We have the 8 and 20 crossover. And if you look at the weekly isn't really showing strength at this level. So that's why I'm expecting us to see the S&P 500 turn around even further, because we're seeing a weakness in the Russell 2000. And so this area of that 52.23 to the daily 50 or 25. Why do I keep saying 52? 25, 23 area. I think we want to come down there because of what we're seeing here. We have a weekly zone here sitting down at, give me 1 second. Where are you at? I wouldn't even call this, I really call this more liquidity area here, but it is a zone as well. So we're going to put this in here. Nope. We're going to look at this here real quick as we're playing off of these levels here. So we have a liquidity and a zone area down with the Russell 2000 at that 2493 to that 2468 area. So I like this area down. If we come and tap that, then again, this would be a decent pullback area from the highs here, right? We're talking like a full 10%, most likely. What is that? Again, these are rough numbers. Don't hold me at it. At 270, that's almost 300. Boom. So from the highs here, 3, boom, 724. Yeah, so that's about 10% pullback here. And so this would most likely be exaggerated if we see this here on the S&P 500, because again, of the movements within a lot of the top Magnificent Seven stocks, right? This is the bellwether of a sell-off coming in. So don't get freaked out about that. Now let's check about Bitcoin here, right? Because again, we could see money cycle from Bitcoin into here and back into Bitcoin as a short start, really, right? So we checked out gold, silver is going to be the same type of thing here, right? I'm seeing it come down to our lower areas here of that 69. You know, I think we're definitely going to I never use the word definitely. Anyways, the area here that I'm looking at is that 62 area here on silver. I think we're coming down to there. So we'll see it come down and then pull back up and continue up. So I see more weakness in silver, but I think silver is definitely going to play. Like I talked about earlier, that 5-to-1 ratio, that 10-to-1 ratio is what we're looking at. And that's where we want to get in. I'm looking for a 10-to-1 ratio pullback, which is going to be a further pullback on silver to capture the increment of 5 to increase to the 5-to-1 gold to silver ratio. So that's why I'm looking for more of a pullback on silver here as we come down to these lower areas here. Now let's talk about BTC and what that means for us right now. BTC.
Mr. Gervais, if you're still watching, we've talked extensively earlier on the show about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But to reiterate the point, if you listen to our show a lot, none of this is a surprise. We've been telling you it's coming down to this level and that the alts would crash behind it for months, literally for months.
Sorry about that, guys. All right, so here we are right now. We're at our levels here. We saw a little bounce here off of it. Oh, dang it, look at that. Man, see how this is.
Whoa. What number is that right there?
That's going to be 65 225 area, 263 802.
It essentially hit your area, huh?
Yeah, I saw a little bounce, but the fact is that we're watching this actually push back up. We're not seeing a ton of demand wicks coming in. Somewhat here. Where's the volume coming in? So this is again. Let's do it the correct way. All right, boom. Bad. Okay. Decent amount of volume, but not, I wouldn't say extravagant. And we're bouncing off this area because there's buyers sitting here, but I'd want to see this thing come harder into it, especially on that 1 hour, 2 hour. I want to see if we could have seen from here all the way down, but the fact that we're seeing buyers or sellers step in right here at this level here, I don't like that, because again, this reminds me of what I was talking about with Aster. Remember, as we were coming down to our areas, those areas weren't, this is what I mean by it. I don't have big enough demand wicks. I want to see a giant demand wick that comes down hard, boom, comes up, right? That's what I want to see on the hour and the 2 hour. And then on the 5 minute, I'm watching big demand wicks being pressed as we're coming down. You can see that we're not putting in a lot of demand wicks. We just put it in as a reprieve, pullback, and then boom, pulls back. So you can see here, we have primarily supply wick, right? Look at supply. We have some demand wicks down here. That's only because there's actual demand here. But I want to see, as we're seeing, like as we're progressing down here, the only demand we have is right here, right? And so that communicates to me that it's most likely going to continue down, right? Boom, you can see here we pushed up where there is a supply wick here, right? And this is a critical time period. And Tom, you'll figure that out, what I mean by that. But that time period then pulls back into those areas here, and then we continue. We see a continuation down, but I'm not seeing a ton of demand wicks, right? So for me, I think we're going to see it come down. We'll see it go up again, find more sellers, most likely down at this level here, right? This is going to be the area that I think we'll see it come into. At this level here. And so actually let me make that into a supply liquidity area. Boom. So yeah, but like again, we'll probably see some consolidation here. Boom, come down, pop, 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 boom, pop, 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 boom, boom, and then see it continue down. if we keep seeing this pattern, right? More of just supply wicks than demand wicks. So that's it in a nutshell. And guys, please, if you don't know what I mean by demand wick or supply wick, or if I mean by liquidity versus zones, please jump up, ask me questions, right? It's okay to ask me questions. I like for you guys to know what I'm talking about here. That's it in a nutshell. Mr. What is it, Chevet?
Mr. Pat Gervais. P. Gervais. I don't know. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today.
I think what's important also here, and I think it's really important to pay attention to, these lower levels here are great areas to be buying. I know you want to close up, but one last little thing. This is not, please don't be afraid here, okay? I just want to reiterate this. This is important. This is institutional movements, okay? They're not giving up on Bitcoin. All right, let's close up. Sorry about that. I was like, bro. Yeah, dude, are you serious, bro? All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm trying to find someone to raid here.
Let's go.
All right, there's a really small stream here. All the big ones, Sin City Crypto, Wendio, and Simply Bitcoin all kicked off because we ran late. They end at the same time, or end a little after us. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to participate in a raid. I'm going to send you to a small channel on Rumble. Please join them. Please join them and make a comment. Everyone on Rumble is trying to support each other and grow the crypto category and network into a community here so we all know each other and support each other and all the yada 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 and make the whole of the crypto community and finance, I should say. I should stop using crypto. I should say the finance channels better by learning from each other, by supporting each other, blah, 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 blah. All that good stuff. Doing a raid. We're kicking it off now. Please participate. Just say Tom and Striking sent you, or Striking and Pedro sent you from DYOR Media. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out when we participate in these raids because it's part of the creator requirements here for Rumble. So we are doing it. The raid's starting right now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, bat channel, all that type of stuff. For the rest of you, you're getting the kabong. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. Man in the box next to me, or on the screen over here next to me, is Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. We'll see you tomorrow. Oops, that's the wrong button. This is the right button. Kabong!